when citing a skill is the new meta.
5, 4, 3, 2.
What's going on, guys? It's Yugi Bros, and today we're going to be talking about the top 4 decks from the North American WCQ for Saturday's Attack of the Giant card for the Speed Duel event. Before we begin, like and subscribe. We are so close to 1,500 subscribers, guys, but with that, let's get into it. Before we begin, I would like to apologize. I'm not going to put the deck lists on the side here, but I will credit the names of the players still. My computer is so beyond its last days. I've been doing this for about 5 years now on a laptop, and boy howdy are we at the end of its rope. My computer can't handle having 2 separate windows and OBS run at the same time, so we're going to just have Dueling Book open with OBS, and I will credit the names. I've written them down. So in 4th place, we have Brian Zello. Sorry again if I butcher anyone's names here. Coming in with Vampires. And they are maining the Twisted Personality skill, which says at the start of the duel, flip it over. Each time you lose life, place a counter on this card. Max 3. Once per turn during your main phase, you can do one of the following. Either you remove 2 counters from this card, then discard a random card from your opponent's hand, or you remove 3 counters, then destroy 1 face-up card your opponent controls. And then to pair with that, we're playing the Vampires, and the Vampires mostly all have effects that say you pay 500 to do something. So it gives you the counters on your Twisted Personality. We talked about this in the Friday video. Basically, Vampire Curse here, if it dies by battle and is sent to the grave, you can pay 500 to special summon it during the next standby phase of your next turn. And if you do, it gains 500 attack. 2 Vampire Hunter. This just simply says if it at the start of the damage step, if it battles a dark monster, destroy that monster. So it's a really good meta call right now. 2 Vampire Familiar and 1 Vampire Retainer. The previous list we looked at had 2 and 2. This one's only rocking 2 and 1. Both of them have the same effect where if they're special summoned, you can pay 5 to add a Familiar adds a Vampire Monster from deck to hand. Retainer adds a Vampire Spell and Trap from deck to hand. And then both in the grave say if this card is in your grave, you can send a Vampire card from your hand or face-up field to the grave to special summon this, but banish it when it leaves the field, so free tribute fodder for your big guy. Then they are on 1 copy of DD Survivor, which I found interesting because at nowhere in this deck does it banish stuff, but I believe this is a meta call just for the amount of macro and banished stuff that is in the format currently. And they were playing 1 DD Warrior Lady as well, along with 2 copies of Reinforcements of the Army to get to these. Survivor says if it's during the end phase, if it was banished while face up on the field this turn, special summon this banished card. And DD Warrior Lady says after damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that monster and also this card. Then they're on 2 Sphere Karibo for defense, but understandably so under macro, these don't work because they have to send from the hand to the grave for cost. So it's an easy side out there in the macro setup. Then they're on 2 Book of Moon for the spells and the 2 Rhoda like we said. Book of Moon and DD Warrior Lady are both on the 3 ofs list. That way they can only play 3 total cards from this list total. So they're on 2 books and 1 Warrior Lady. For the traps, they're on triple Vampire Awakening, which has special summon a vampire monster from your deck, but destroy it during the end phase of this turn. 2 Haunted Shrine. If you control no monsters, target a zombie in your grave, special summon it. If you control no monsters, you can banish this from the grave, target a zombie in your grave, special summon it, but negate its effects. But you can only use one of those 2 effects per turn. And then the single lone copy of Dust Tornado in the main deck. MST newly just went to 1, so they are not playing that. The Twisted Personality, the skill itself, is on the 1 of list as well, so if they want to play this, they're not allowed to play Mystical Space Typhoon. Yes, skills are included on the limited list. And then in their side deck, they're citing Heart of a Warrior, which we'll get to in a second. The 2nd copy of DD Survivor. Double Hammer Shot, which destroys an attack position monster on the field with the highest attack, your choice of tide. A 2nd Dust Tornado. And Straight Flush, I like this. If the opponent controls a card in each of their spell and trap zones, destroy all cards in their spell trap zones. So normally in normal Yu-Gi-Oh, this doesn't really go off all that much because your opponent would have to have 5 cards in their spell and trap zones. But in Speed Duels, there's only 3 zones. This is a lot easier to pull off. A lot of the times, people will have 3 cards in their spell and trap zones, so this card is alive a lot more often than you would think. But they are citing into Heart of a Warrior. This skill says once per turn, you can discard 1 card, special summon a level 5 or lower warrior non-effect fusion monster from your extra deck. It's treated as a fusion summon, and then you can't normal summon or set the turn you activate this skill. This card facilitates out either Guilt of the D-Knight, which is just 1850, or Flame Swordsman, which is just 1800. You can't normal summon or set the turn you do it, but you can still special summon, depending on how you're doing it, with like something like Vampire Awakening or Haunted Shrine. But the way this is just simply, it sides into like a beat stick deck. Heart of a Warrior was is still actually a very strong skill in speed duels. So I love the shadow side here. Arguably, you can swap some stuff out and play into a bit more of the different meta options with Heart of a Warrior. Also, you can use the discard to put the Vampire, Retainer, or Familiar in the grave, then bring them back with their effects. You could still special summon under this card this turn, and then you can search your Vampire monsters or Spell and Traps for future follow-up. Also, in time, if you're getting close to time, paying 5 every 5 seconds isn't all that good. Because you'll lose by life points in time, so this is something you can also side in for this as well. In third place, we have Juan Francisco Navarro Valencia. Once again, he was also in the Friday top 4 as well, rocking Twisted Vampires, and, believe it or not, also is playing the Heart of the Warrior side in. The only difference to this list, it's 2 Curse, 2 Hunter, 2 Familiar, 1 Retainer, 1 Survivor, no DD Warrior Lady, 2 Spheres, 2 Rhoda, 2 Book of Moon, 3, 2, and 1 as well. Same exact list, except there's no Warrior Lady period. The second Survivor is in the side once again. There's 1 Hammer Shot, 1 Tribute to the Doomed, which is discard a card, target a monster on the field, and destroy that target. Very versatile, as opposed to Hammer Shot, which has to hit the highest attack monster. And you can also follow the discard up with putting one of these in the graveyard to then bring them back to then trigger their effects to search, which is really cool. 1 copy of Twister, which is a quick play spell. It says pay 5 to target a face-up spell trap on the field and destroy that target. Also, the pay 5 works really well in this deck. The second Dust Tornado again, and the Twisted Personality, along with the package for Heart of a Warrior as well. Not much here to go over. It's almost exactly the same deck, a little bit different. I do like the inclusion of Tribute to the Doomed and Twister. Twister helping out with your skill, and Tribute just facilitating free discards for these. But nevertheless, still arguably the exact same list. In second place, we have Ryan Adam Prescott sporting the Destructive Fate skill, which says at the start of the duel you flip it over. During your turn, when you would toss a coin or coins for the effect of a monster or spell once per turn for each card type, you may lose half your life points to declare the result instead. During the end phase of your third turn, flip this card over. This was featured as well in the top 4 on Friday's list, but I don't believe it was Adam Prescott who was running it. Nevertheless, the list is 3 Dogoron, which is a kaiju that you can essentially tribute to your opponent's field by tributing one of their monsters by putting this card in attack position. And then if they control a kaiju, you can special summon a kaiju, this card for example, from your hand. So if you open 2 of these, you can put one on your opponent's field if they have a monster, and then special the other one for free. They're on 3 Dyna base, which says if your life is lower than your opponent's, you can special summon this card from your hand, and theoretically it always will be because your coin toss effects will be triggered through Fate, and Fate will pay half your life to determine the result, so then this card will be able to summon for free. During your main phase, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using this card you control and other monsters from your hand or field as material. The reason you want to do that is you want to make Dyna tank, which takes a machine and a dinosaur. It gains attack equal to the original attack of the dinosaur monster used for its fusion, so it's always going to gain 3,000 because Dogoron is the only dinosaur in this deck. Alternatively, in the other list, they were also playing an Ultimate Tyranno, but this list is not. And then Dyna Tank's other effects are, when a card or effect is activated that targets this one card on the field and no other card's quick effect, you can target one other card on the field that would be an appropriate target. That card or effect now targets the new target, so it can dodge single targeted effects, as well as also, if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon a dinosaur from your grave, so you theoretically can bring back the Dogoron from your grave when it dies. So now for the coin toss effects of the deck, they are playing 3 Twin Barrel Dragon. This says if summoned, target a card that your opponent controls, toss a coin twice, and if the result is 2 heads, destroy it. But it will guarantee work with Fate, so you're just basically summoning a card that says pop a card your opponent controls, which is really strong. And 2 Cyber Dragon to round out the order. Now, I like this a lot. If the opponent controls a monster and you don't, you can special summon this from your hand. But where this facilitates a lot is that you could special summon something like Cyber Dragon, and then either normal or special your Dyna base, and trigger this, which is called Iron Draw, which we'll get to in a second. In the spells, we have Double Cup of Ace, which is heads draw 2, tails your opponent draws 2, but obviously in your deck you're getting the heads guaranteed, so it's just Pot of Greed. They're on 1 copy of Iron Draw, which I find interesting. This is now newly semi-limited due to the new ban list, so this kind of fills in the third gap that you didn't have before, which says if you control exactly 2 machine effect monsters and no other monsters, draw 2 cards. Cyber Dragon facilitates this very well because you can special summon this for free and then either special this out or normal this out, and then you have 2 machines to activate your Iron Draw. The downside to this card is that after you activate it and draw your 2, for the rest of the turn you can only special summon once, but theoretically you're only going to summon one more time with Dynabase's effect into your Dyna tank, so this doesn't really change a whole lot in the deck. Then they're playing for Spell and Trap, hate 1 Night Beam, target a second spell trap, your opponent controls, destroy that target, your opponent can't activate that target in response to this card's activation. 1 Galaxy Cyclone, target a set spell trap on the field, destroy it during your main phase, except the turn it was sent to the grave. You can banish this from the grave, target a face-up spell trap on the field, destroy it. And 1 MST, because MST is now at 1. As well as 3 Wabaku. The reason you play Wabaku in this deck most of the time is because this deck wants to go second. If you're forced to go first, you just set Wabaku and pass, but also if you're just trying to set up to the point of where you're going to Dyna tank them for essentially what would be game, Wabaku will get you to that point, essentially. And then, of course, in the side deck, double defusion, because you can, in theory, unfuse this into the 2 monsters you use to make it. And if you, for example, use Twin Barrel here to make it, this card just says when it's summoned, its effect goes off. So if you haven't used Destructive Fate's effect or you're feeling froggy, you can use defusion after you've used or done whatever you have with Dyna Tank, make your dinosaur in your machine, and then Twin Barrel, if need be, can use this effect once again, which is wild. The second copy of Night Beam, 2 Macrocosmos, which just says anything that's sent to the grave instead is banished, and then 1 Mind Control, which is declare any card name. If this card, if that card is in the opponent's hand, they must discard all copies of it. Otherwise, you discard 1 random card. You can only activate this if you have a card in hand, card or cards. And also, this is just really good against generic search power. Your opponent goes to search literally anything, and then you immediately Mind Crush it afterward. It's just really strong in that state. And then they are playing 3 dead cards just to round out their extra deck. Destiny and Dragoon, Cyber and Dragon, and Ojama King. I'm not going to tell you what these cards do, because there's no point. There's no way for them to actually summon them, unless they had something like Waking the Dragon in their deck. And now for first place, Nicholas Anthony Rasapi. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. I am sorry. Nick played a really interesting deck with the skill Battle City Siren, which says once per turn during your main phase, you can change the battle position of 1 monster your opponent controls. This turn, the first attack you declare must target that monster. This skill can be used twice per duel. Changing battle positions in general is really strong. There's a card that shows up in almost every speed duel deck nowadays called Falsodine Pachycephalo. It's in his deck as well, which says if it's flipped face up, destroy all special summon monsters on the field, and while it's face up, neither player can special summon monsters. You can use Siren here as a really good way to switch something like this face up preemptively, assuming you know you can run it over, or you just don't want to get screwed by its effect. They're playing 2 Shield Crush, which targets a defense on the field and destroys that target, but with Battle City Siren, you could put any monster theoretically into defense, and then Shield Crush literally just says target a monster on the field and destroy that, essentially, assuming that monster was in attack mode to begin with, but if it's not, then Shield Crush is just already doing what it was meant to do. But this deck focuses most around the old Red Eyes loop combo. Triple Gearfried the Red Eyes Iron Knight. This card says once per turn, if either player equips and equip cards to this card, you can destroy those equipped cards, then destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls. Once per turn, you can send 1 equipped card, add as equipped to this card to the grave, target a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster into grave, and special summon it. 2 copies of Red Eyes Baby Dragon, newly semi-limited as well here. This card says if it's destroyed by battle, you can special summon 1 level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your deck, and if you do, equip this card from the grave to it. So you could summon this, then equip this to this, then trigger this thing's effect to destroy the thing equipped to it, to then destroy a spell or trap your opponent controls. This card also says, if this card is sent to the grave while equipped to a monster, you can add a level 1 dragon monster from your deck or grave to your hand. So then if this is destroyed, you can add Black Metal Dragon, which is your level 1 Black Metal. As a 2 of in here says, you can target a Red Eyes monster you control, equip this monster from the hand or field to that target, so it also works in the hand as well as the field if you going into your turn have this on the field and you want to equip it and then do the same thing. But then it also says if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can add a Red Eyes card from deck to hand, which is everything Red Eyes related in this deck except for Black Metal Dragon, which is kind of cool. So you could summon this, equip this to it from the hand, use its second effect rather than its first effect. You could use its first effect to pop a spell or trap, but you could also use its second effect, which would then send this to the grave. This would then summon a level 7 or lower Red Eyes from your grave, theoretically Red Eyes Baby Dragon, and then this would trigger to add a Red Eyes card, either this, or this, and we'll get to Spirit in a second. 2 Fossil Dyna, because this card is just solid right now in general. We already talked about the Shield Crush, Triple Book of Moon. Triple Book of Moon also facilitates Shield Crush to be even stronger, as well as the Floodgate Trap Hole here, which is what Book of Moon does, but permanently keeps it face down. Triple Blast with Chain. Target a face-up monster you control, equip this card to that target. It gains 500 attack. If this card is destroyed by a card effect while equipped, target a card in the field and destroy it. You can put this on this, then this triggers, pops it, destroys the spell or trap, then this triggers, pops any one card on the field. Just really good removal. Also just 500, really good. You can use it in the damage step. Triple Unbreakable Spirit. Now this is one that I honestly had no idea was in Speed Duels. It's a normal trap that says, if you control only one face-up monster, target that monster until the end of the turn. It gains attack equal to the attack of a monster your opponent controls with the lowest attack your choice of tied. Seriously though, even if you're giving it only like 1,000 attack, it's permanently giving it 1,000 until the end of the turn. So you get to wall for a turn if they have multiple attacks. But this card is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Like, you can use this in damage step because it's doing an attack and defense modification. But this card is actually super interesting. Not something I would have thought of. The reason they're not playing something generic like Sakuretsu or Paleozoic Candina or Widespread Ruin or Well of Disruption is because all these cards are on the 3-ofs list, and their 3-of choice that they chose was Book of Moon, so they can't play any of these other cards. And they already got the Floodgate here, so they can't play Offerings or Nightmare Wheel. So their only options are kind of limited, but Unbreakable Spirit definitely fills the void here, and this card is pretty strong if you ask me. And then 1 copy of Red Eyes Spirit, as well as the Floodgate. Red Eyes Spirit just simply says target a Red Eyes monster in your grave, special summon that target. They are siding into the Heart of a Warrior package once again, so no need to explain that. The 3rd Fossil Dyna in the side deck, the 3rd Shield Crush in the side deck, and then this card blows my mind as to why people don't play this more. I feature this in side decks for lists from its inception all the time, and people would always say that it's not worth playing. And here we have, not only is this guy playing 1, he's playing 3 of it in the side deck. This card is, in my opinion, very underrated, and I don't know why more people aren't on it. In my opinion, it's just the generic side deck card of choice. You play at least 1 for any matchup. It says target a face-up special summon monster on the field, negate its effects. This is permanent, by the way. Also, its original attack is halved, also permanent. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck while this card is in your graveyard, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So you can get 2 uses out of it if they are hitting their extra deck, but if they are not, you're still playing 3 copies. And in my opinion, he's already got this pretty well covered, though the deck itself is very strong. Fossil Dyna is very strong, but this whole, like, get rid of the defense through Battle City Siren type thing is just really good. And then this card is just preventing any extra crazy special summon deck from going off. And so because of that, and because it modifies attack, it can be used in the damage step. So this card is really strong. I'm honestly shocked more people aren't on it. But guys, what do you think about Saturday's Attack from the Giant card lists? It's a little bit different from Friday's lists. Again, I would have put this video up a day earlier, but I had recorded the whole video using OBS and having the deck lists on the side with the window, and it just completely destroyed the video. It recorded it so terribly, and it was so hard to edit, and I just had to redo it, so that's where we're at with this. But guys, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. We're so close, once again, like I said earlier, to 1,500 subscribers. I can't wait to hit that point, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
For more amazing Speed Duel content, subscribe to Yugi Bros. It's time to duel!